Good morning, and welcome to Two Scoops Morning News with Dan and Craig. Happy holidays, also. I'm Dan.
And I'm Craig.
And here's a couple of scoops.
You're watching Two Scoops Morning News with Dan and Craig, your sunrise reminder that things could get worse, so laugh at them while you still can.
Straight into it. Happy holidays, everyone. Happy holidays from the bad boys down in New Hampshire. Craig, you heard about this, I'm sure, at least a little bit through the grapevine, did you not?
I mean, I saw this right here, and I saw like some outrage, and then I was just like, I don't want to read this anymore.
What was your first impression of this tweet? Was it something like, oh, God? All right.
Yeah, pretty much. It was kind of, I think I did laugh out loud in some respect because I am morbid and twisted like that. So
Yeah.
This is funny to me.
Yeah. So this happened for the audio listener. The Libertarian Party of New Hampshire posted a picture of Meghan McCain crying at her father's coffin, and just says "Happy Holidays" on the anniversary of the death of John McCain.
Yes.
God rest his soul, I suppose. Now this has caused a bit of a shitstorm with the Libertarian Party.
I can't possibly imagine why.
Well, it's like the whole thing is split. It's divided straight up the middle with half the party saying this is terrible and awful and you should feel bad, and then the other half saying nice and sharing it and everything. So when I saw this, I immediately commented on it with my personal feelings, which were, guys, I'm all for dark humor and brutal honesty. This is just unacceptable and way over the line. Keep going.
Yes.
And like,
that's basically how I felt about the whole thing.
it's like I'm not gonna. I wouldn't have posted that. I know the guy who did post it, and I have some respect for him for doing it. I'm certainly not going to condemn him for making fun of warmonger sympathizer Meghan McCain.
Right. Well, I mean, if you think about it, nobody's really. Is anything really off limits when it comes to like poking fun at a warmonger? I mean, how many lines did John McCain cross?
Right.
I feel like it's okay to cross this line to make up for all the lines that John McCain crossed with his warmongering and brown baby killing.
Right. Yeah, and I went on a tweet spree that night basically saying that I still didn't retweet this as much as Meghan McCain did, which is the strangest part. She quote tweeted this like 7 times saying, "Oh my gosh, can you guys believe how awful these people are?" It's like, "Oh yeah, we feel like you expect us to feel more bad for you when you're like, hey, keep looking at the thing that makes me feel bad. Look at it. Isn't it awful?
Just look at it. Just
yeah.
Did you see this again? And how many people that didn't actually know that this thing existed that would find the dark humor in it found it because Meghan McCain retweeted the stupid thing? And it's just
exactly.
like, if you stop giving this credit, I mean, yes, the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire has a blue check mark, so it's going to have somewhat of a following, but I can't
So does Meghan McCain.
I was going to say, I can't imagine they have probably even quite the following that Meghan McCain has, so she probably tripled the reach that this has.
Yeah. Libertarians was trending on Twitter for the entire weekend, and yeah.
You're doing our work for us.
Right. So all the people that were pissed off, yes, I know this isn't like the best publicity, but also they weren't talking about us a minute ago. Now they're talking about us. They might be talking about us saying we're a joke, but they were just thinking it in the back of their minds before. Now they're saying libertarians joke. Before they were just saying nothing. Yeah, I was quote tweeting it, and I put up like a poll that said like, who's meaner, LPNH or John McCain?
Right. Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like, for every line that the Libertarian Party crossed or of New Hampshire crossed in this, John McCain crossed 1 million lines.
John McCain killed at least 100,000 brown babies in that span.
Meghan McCain should have put out, for every retweet of this picture, I will single-handedly kill one more brown child.
Yeah, I mean, it would be in character. But Governor Sununu of New Hampshire had some very strong words to say.
We're missing comments, though. We got comments. We can't go wild.
It's too early for comments, and I've got too much to talk about here. Like I said before we got on, you're like, I didn't know if you were going to bother talking about this. I'm like,
what's going on with SecOps today?
I don't need your ads. While we wait for that ad to run, we'll read some comments. But I could have spent an entire hour episode just going through all the responses and everything to this. But Shannon says, good morning, my favorite smots, bro, and fuck you, Shannon. Sharon. Sharon also says, LOL, something about when Dan says coffin. It's like PB&J. And she also says...
P&J.
Whatever. She also says she's team New Hampshire. She says that from Florida, so who cares? And Hector Roos says, morning, dudes.
Good morning, Hector.
Good morning,
Good
Hector.
morning, Shannon, from your favorite smots, bro.
And also Craig. Now, this ad is done, so we will watch Sununu, Governor of New Hampshire, on CNN.
Libertarian Party of New Hampshire recently put out some really outrageous tweets wishing people happy holidays on the anniversary of John McCain's death, saying that $6 million minimum wage or you're anti-Semitic, a reference to the Holocaust. Your reaction quickly?
Yeah, that should pretty much be the end of the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire. And I mean that. Again, horribly insulting. That is not leadership. That is not what people want to vote for. That is not what the type of sentiment people want in their public service. So, again, there's another one. So the New Hampshire Libertarian Party and the president can both join together and apologize for their insensitive comments.
Shut up, silly woman.
Anyway.
All right, pause.
Yeah.
What was the 6 million line? Because they just kind of glossed over that, and I feel like that wasn't addressed fully.
Yeah, they also had another tweet that I wasn't even going to bring up, but since Sununu brought it up, like I wasn't going to bring it up because I think it's a nothing stupid Holocaust joke. I don't find it offensive, obviously, but there wasn't much of a point to it. The tweet was $6 million minimum wage or you're anti-Semitic, which is, I don't know. It has nothing to do with anything anti-Semitic or anything other than said anti-Semitic. Yeah. But they're trying to say that that's anti-Semitic. I will say that the LPNH took that tweet down, I believe. So not sure. I'm not sure how to feel about that, because if it brought unnecessary controversy for no reason and it wasn't even that, funny of a joke, then I'm fine with them taking it down. But if they took it down just out of pressure, then
then that's stupid. But my question is, did they post that the same day, or were they like,
probably
let's find another bad tweet that we can throw in with this to show just how bad the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire is?
I think it was recent, so it might have been the same day. It wouldn't surprise me if it was the same day. And yeah. But props to the guy who tweeted all of them.
Shannon,
I don't care. I'm not offended by your tweets.
Shannon says LMFAOOOOO.
Lamafoo.
This fucking idiot. Can you imagine how much the existence of the LPNH and Free Staters ruins his life? I mean, yes. he's in New Hampshire. Is that who that was? Who is the guy?
Yeah, he's the governor of New Hampshire.
Okay, so for him to come out and be like, this should be the end of the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire, it's just like, first of all, that statement.
This should be the end of any of my competition that's taking away the votes from certain people in this state.
Notice how she's like reading this. He's got the biggest, smuggest smile on his face, like, oh yes.
He loves this.
He's not like outraged at all. He's just like, yes, I get to stick one to my competition now. This is gonna be a gotcha moment. Like the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
Maybe they didn't know what they were doing, but like they didn't.
Oh, they knew.
Like they're like after the fact, they're like, oh no, my competition's gonna use this against me. Good
oh
God,
no, they're gonna be offended by offensive tweet. Yeah, they knew what they were doing, and they do it quite often, and they have a reputation for doing it. But none of them, I don't believe, have blown up to this extent, because it was all over a whole bunch of mainstream outlets and everything. But we do need to take a quick flashback to Meghan McCain for the people who are defending Meghan McCain, the poor victim Meghan McCain in this. Let's see what she had to say on The View not long ago about the January 6th rioters.
Yes.
They could still do it.
If he was
but
convicted.
Let's remember.
Yeah.
Let's remember that they were able to put forth a Supreme Court justice within a week.
Real quick?
They can still do it. There's nothing in the Constitution that prevents them from impeaching, convicting, and removing.
But here's
for January 20th.
On that note,
here's
you
the
should
problem.
be treating these domestic
He's not
terrorists.
going to be.
Sorry, I can't. It's hard to.
That's all right.
I just think we need to treat the domestic terrorists the way we do actual terrorists. I think we need to consider all possibilities. I'm not against sending these people to Gitmo, and that may sound extreme. These are domestic terrorists who attacked our own republic. They should be treated the same way we treat Al Qaeda.
What? First of all, I got to point out the fact that
Can I talk over you real quick?
the professional ladies of you that have been doing this for 30 fucking years have not figured out how to Zoom chat yet.
Yeah.
I've not figured out that you can't just yell over each other when you are virtual streaming or virtual meeting each other.
How do they have more of a delay between them than you and I have with our setup here?
I don't know. Could you imagine being the person that has to set up a camera in Whoopi Goldberg's living room as she's getting ready in the morning?
All right, child, just hold on. Just turn the camera off for a second. I gotta put my wig on.
Put my bra on real quick.
Gotta hoist the puppies up. Now,
did she just say that they didn't need to go to Gitmo?
Oh yeah, we're really glossing over the fact that she said that the Capitol 6 rioters or the January whatever the tourists are terrorists and need to be sent to Gitmo and treated as actual terrorists. She called for the torture and interrogation of a whole lot of people who were doing a whole lot of nothing, it seems.
U.S. citizens, no less. I mean, it's fine. It's fine
Right.
if you want to think torture and waterboard brown people, but now she like that was her whole father's thing. That's what we talked about a few minutes ago. But
she's
now,
leveling it up.
She's suggesting, let's pump this up a notch. Let's do this to our own people, because I mean, I guess if you attack our great system that we have, our great government that we have, are you still a citizen, or do you just give up your citizenship?
Are you suddenly a brown Middle Easterner? Because we can kill them all day long, as the McCains. Yeah. So one more. Again, I could talk way too long about this, but we've already gone on too long with this story. I do want to wrap up this one on the latest tweet from the Ron Paul Institute. Why is everyone so mad at LPNH? They called out a stone cold killer. Isn't that what libertarianism is about? Pushing back. We should respect those who lustily violate non-aggression principle every day. Who actually love killing people? Like 10 million? That's how we win. So
yes,
yeah, one of those.
We should respect the dead. Well, just the dead people that kill like so many more dead people.
Right. I mean, history will write this man as a war hero or something, but he was the perpetrator of the war that he didn't fight in. He sent everybody else off to die in this war and to kill and to be killed in this war.
So that's what Free Men Die Free said. People say Meghan didn't kill those millions. Well, neither did her father. Politicians and MSM don't pull the trigger. Still at fault for advocating it.
No. It's not advocating at that point. It's ordering them to pull the trigger. They wouldn't have pulled the trigger if it wasn't for him.
Yes, it's not like
he's more responsible.
Right. I'm assuming Meghan probably follows right in her father's footsteps too. I don't follow Meghan McCain much because she's like John McCain, but loud and obnoxious woman version of it. So it's less reason for me to follow.
So she hasn't killed as many people directly, but she's also a woman. So it's
so it just
got away the bad. But yeah, I don't like to some of the people who are like, Meghan McCain doesn't deserve this. It's like, okay, she doesn't deserve what? Jokes? Like, very offensive jokes. Is that really that big of a concern? Sure, she is not currently involved in war. She is not the one telling them to pull the trigger, but she is also still a monster in her own right. And even if she was just somebody's kid, and unless she was like anti-war, which she's definitely not, jokes still. Very offensive jokes.
Denounced the things her father did? Has she ever come out and been like, yeah, that was probably not a good idea on his part?
Nope.
No, not that I know of. Maybe
I'm sure not. I'm sure she's only praised everything he's ever done because she's still pushing the same agenda. But that's probably enough of that. Did you have an article that you wanted to talk about here?
I do. I sent it to you last night. You probably didn't even read it.
Oh, well, you have a screen share option. I read the headline.
Oh, me too. So,
wow.
Do you remember the NXIVM cult?
NXIVM? Yes.
NXIVM cult. I have it shared.
It's almost like it was created by like one of these hipster companies where they can't get any domain names that have vowels, so they take the vowels out of their word. I just don't know what the word was initially.
Maybe they had a hard time carving vowels into people's flesh. Maybe that was it, and it was easier to carve N's and
vowels
K's
get curvy.
N's, K's, and V's and M's have like really straight lines, so it's easier to carve them in people's flesh.
Right.
So if you remember this, Rainier guy was arrested and sentenced to like 120 years for Keith Rainier. That was his name. Well, apparently, and I did a whole episode last week about how the FBI likes to fuck things up, and they like to intentionally fuck things up, and they like to create their own terrorism and stuff. So I did this whole episode on how screwed up the FBI is. Well, apparently a retired FBI agent is saying that the FBI shockingly tampered with evidence in the whole NXIVM sex cult case. They
Gasp.
Yeah.
Imagine my surprise.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know what this does. You think they'd be forced to go back and have a retrial if this actually becomes a thing? I mean, yes, he was already sentenced, and yes, he probably did these atrocious things, but if he was found guilty based on tampered with evidence, can you keep the man in jail?
Yes.
Well, obviously.
That's what they're going to do to Trump.
Yeah. So this says the NXIVM leader, Keith Rainier, who was convicted of sex trafficking and a slew of other crimes related to a secret society where women were branded, claimed in court papers back in May that the government planted evidence on his computer equipment. I mean...
So he's making that claim?
The FBI, the former FBI guy, because apparently the Rainier family, I think, hired him to take a look at this shit because he's like an expert. I'm trying to find where it said that. It's got to say it somewhere, but it says the government hit back at the time, calling the claims frivolous. In October, Rainier was sentenced to 120 years in prison for sex trafficking, racketeering, child pornography possession, and other crimes after overwhelming evidence was presented.
I didn't know there were children involved. I thought it was always just white women in Hollywood.
Apparently there was pictures on his computer of some of these white women that were underage. Well, this guy is saying that they went back and doctored the dates on the photos to make them appear underage at the time. So the 120 years, I'm guessing, came a lot from the child pornography part of this.
Wait, they doctored the photos to make them look younger?
They just doctored the date stamps on them.
Oh.
So to make
so the FBI, so they might not have been young.
Underage at the time, yes. So it says, where's the story? Where's the story? Because it talks about how he starved and branded some of his victims like cattle. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are on all this, because from what I can tell, I mean, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but from what I can tell, most of these women joined willingly.
That's what I was going to say when I asked about the children. Like, if these... I don't like people being duped into a cult of any kind, be it, be it NXIVM or the Libertarian Party or the Republican Party or the Democrat Party or Black Lives Matter or the Proud Boys
MAGA.
or Antifa or MAGA or any of them. Any of them.
know what you're saying.
Take your pick. But if you do so willingly, then it's kind of on you at that point. And sure, there's brainwashing element to it, but hey, that's just good marketing, isn't it?
Now, when you join this thing and then they take these pictures and use it as blackmail against you to not leave, that's maybe dancing on the line there. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what they got for like trafficking, human trafficking and stuff. Like
I didn't dig that much into this story back when it first came out. I knew about it and we talked about it a little bit on this show, but like so the women were going willingly and they were being blackmailed how? Like they gave him pictures and he said, I'm going to show other people these pictures if you
I think he
something?
took pictures of them doing things like and then he used it.
Well, depending on what they were doing and whether or not they willingly let him take the picture, like I don't know, it's like I don't like it, but did you agree to it? And if you agreed to it and it's not illegal activity technically, I mean blackmail is, but if you agreed to give him the pictures, I don't know, a blackmail charge is a whole lot less offensive than child pornography and sex trafficking. So there's some not gray area. There's some details that I would need to know more about on those other two things.
So it goes on, it says, now in an exclusive interview in the U.S. with the U.S. Sun, which obviously is a legitimate source, former FBI forensic computer examiner Dr. Richard Kuiper was hired by NXIVM supporters, NXIVM still has supporters, to investigate the prosecution's evidence, revealed he believes evidence was tampered with as agents were under the pressure to make sure they got their man.
I mean, Jim Jones probably still has supporters.
That's true. Says he says his findings go far beyond Rainier's claims of innocence because they could destroy the public's trust in the FBI.
Oh no.
Oh, dude. Forget
That's my biggest concern personally.
Yeah, forget the fact that we could be destroying people's lives. I mean, I'm not sympathetic of this guy at all, but if they're doing it to him, they're obviously doing it to so many more people,
right?
And destroying lives because they want to get their man. Says in the 42-page court filing, Kuiper says he discovered specific actions were taken to manually alter the evidence in order to support the government's version of events against Rainier. The main finding, Kuiper alleged, was the picture of a naked female were placed on the hard drive manually with manipulated file creation dates to make it look like the photos were taken when the female was below the age of consent. So the child pornography thing, which again, like you're talking, I think 10 or 20 years per photo that you have for child pornography. So the 120 years, I'm guessing, has a lot to do with the child pornography part of this. Because, I mean, he got way more time than Jeffrey Epstein ever was sentenced.
Right.
Probably because of the child pornography part, and he didn't pay off Alan Dershowitz to get him off.
Yeah, let's get him off.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, it's kind of like, I don't really want to make this comparison because history has a way of changing things. But Waco, Branch Davidians and stuff, like the same things were said about David Koresh as are being said about this guy by the same, same alphabet soup people, FBI, CIA, all these people. Like if they don't like something that you're doing and you look like a cult, they'll use whatever they can to make sure that you are painted as the worst possible thing. And I have a feeling, just based on what we know and based on the whole branding women and stuff, that this guy is certainly no David Koresh and probably much worse. But if they're painting him in a worse light than he really is in order to pin something on him that he's not guilty of, then that is, yes, concerning. That and this is a guy who, he has big ties in the elitist industry. Like all of these, it wasn't just like Joe Blow, mom and pop going and getting brainwashed by David Koresh into thinking that he's Jesus or something. This is like elitist, probably had ties to Epstein and shit. So he's probably not like innocent. He's probably got a lot of really bad shit that they can't pin on him. So so I'm not like all that empathetic, but also like, come on. If the dates are changed, the dates are changed, and yes, that should be revisited for sure.
Well, U.S. Attorney Kevin Trowell shot down the claims because the person in the pictures, Camilla, appeared at the sentencing herself and confirmed and said that she was still 15 when they took the pictures. So that's proof that they didn't doctor the pictures because she said, I was 15. That's not proof. That's not evidence. Yes, she said this. And yes, we should take her word for this, but that's not proof that they didn't doctor them to get their man. They maybe had pictures, and when he got tipped off that the FBI was coming, he's like, all right, let's delete all of those pictures.
Delete everything from 2017 and before. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look good that she's saying that, obviously, but
it's funny.
It's just her word and not,
It's funny because he goes on to say, this is the first time he's ever seen anything like this in his life. He says, in 20 years, I've never witnessed I've never witnessed a single instance of tampering or bending of the rules. In 20 years in the FBI, he's never witnessed. I mean, what was he doing the whole time?
I have, and I didn't even work there.
In 20 years, I mean, you're talking all the way back to 2002. No evidence of witness tampering. No evidence of any sort of bending the rules in his 20-year span of FBI work.
Yep.
It says in any workspace in a large organization, there are what I would call unethical things that go on. That's bending the rules, dude.
Right.
Anything that's sort of unethical things that go on.
It might not be. It might not be, because we are talking about the FBI here. I'm sure they have a lot of rules. Yeah, they have a lot of very unethical rules that they're perfectly fine with perpetrating. So I've seen people do heinous atrocities, but never anything that goes outside of our normal scope of the FBI. So it's fine.
He says, like, when you pull up pictures of somebody, you might find things that are embarrassing. And then you have comments that are made that are unethical. But it's not manipulation of evidence. It's not receiving or sending evidence that's unsealed when you have broken chain of custody. Yeah, they were also passing around these photos, like from up and down the chain of custody without them being sealed, like at.
Hey, look at this one. Look how bad this one is. This is a really bad picture of children.
Hey, check this one out. Yeah, that's creepy.
That's the FBI.
So it says the thing that really convinced me was the transplanted thumbnail in images. So apparently there was like a thumbnail of an image, and when you match, because the thumbnails have the same stamp on them as the actual image, and from what I gathered of this, the thumbnail didn't match the actual image that had the same stamp, like name stamp on it. So there were like two totally different images. So clearly something was
right.
Fucked up there.
You changed something. Don't know what. Doesn't matter. You changed something.
He goes on to say, it's outrageous, and for a forensic examiner to go on the stand and present this in order to achieve a conviction, I mean, I struggle with how I feel about it, but I think probably outrage is the best word, because I know how these people are trained. Yeah. I know these people were trained to do less of a freaking hack job when it comes to planting evidence. We were trained
to cover our tracks. Mm-hmm. What the hell, guys? You're really slacking on the track covering when you're being corrupt FBI agents.
Shannon says, believe all women, Craig. Oh, I do. I do.
I used to believe all women, then Sharon said it, so I don't buy it.
I'm not sure anymore.
Now I believe no women. None.
So what do you think of this? Because this guy, like you were saying, is clearly a monster from what it sounds like. And he does...
Very likely. I also think it's entirely possible, being open-minded here, it's entirely possible this guy did nothing wrong.
Or he was doing everything wrong, and
He probably was a Fed.
Yeah, probably. I've talked about people like this that step out somehow, like piss off their umbrella of protection that's been covering the tracks, like Epstein for so many years, like out in the open doing the same shit for so many years, and then all of a sudden they fuck up and they're like, all right, see ya. And then all of a sudden the FBI, who's probably in on this shit, is like, because the FBI, I believe it or not, no unethical things, no bending the rules, like, transporting drugs across the border to fund wars and shit like that.
Yeah.
Um,
normal stuff.
Yeah, normal stuff. Or selling weapons and bombs and explosives to militia groups to see if they pull off their militia biddings.
Thank you,
anyway,
John McCain.
Yeah. The FBI is like, we're not protecting you anymore. So let's make this guy look much worse than he was, or as bad as he was, but actually put evidence on it. The evidence that we've been probably covering for 20 years. Let's actually put some evidence in here. It's funny because they probably, most likely, the FBI has probably destroyed a lot of evidence against Rainier throughout the years to make him look like a better person. And now they're like, shit, we should have kept a hold of some of that. So now they got to go back and plant evidence to get him arrested.
Right, cleaning it up and putting the dates and making him look just a little bit worse so that they can use it against him.
It's like, man, I wish I would have kept some of that evidence that we destroyed for him all these years.
It's kind of like, Jeffrey Epstein's list and things. Like, they've had the evidence for God knows how long, and then when it finally comes out because they're done using him, it's like, well, we'll kill him. We'll kill him. We'll lose these documents here and there, and when we lock up Ghislaine, we'll give her 20 years maybe, and we'll tell everyone that she trafficked minors to nobody, and their client list doesn't matter.
Yeah. These people are guilty of trafficking, but to who?
Right.
Yeah, we don't need, that's not important.
Yeah, I don't know. So what you're saying is Keith Rainier is a hero.
No.
Oh,
I'm not
sorry.
saying that at all.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Maybe he is. Maybe it's going to come out that Keith Rainier was working on a documentary. You know how they always come out every time some celebrity commits suicide.
He was working to expose human trafficking rings.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
So as much of a monster as this guy possibly was, do you think he should get this conviction should get thrown out for this?
Yeah, it should. Yes, it should be looked at. I don't really care. Clearly, if I had to put money on it, I think this guy probably deserves to be in jail for the rest of his life at best, most likely. But that's just me. I don't make the rules or whatever. I just bend them. But if he was locked up forever, I don't think it would probably be an injustice. It might be, but it probably wouldn't be, and most likely he deserves worse. So I do think that it should be revisited, but it doesn't really matter, except for the biggest issue isn't whether or not this guy gets off or gets a worse punishment. The biggest issue is the FBI tampering with evidence to make people look more guilty than they are, because people like Meghan McCain would love for that to happen to other citizens of the United States, it seems like. So bad precedent that was set a long time ago, and for them to act surprised about it is laughable.
So do you think this makes people lose their trust in the FBI?
I hope so. I certainly hope so.
Do you think this is the event that destroys the public trust in the FBI, as the FBI guy claims?
I mean, if this is what it took,
this
then
could possibly destroy their trust. Just like, if people are going to trust the FBI, they're going to trust the FBI. If they still trust the FBI today, this is not going to be the thing that.
Right. Of all things, this is like the least in the public sphere, and even to the extent that it is in the public sphere, everybody's on the side of the FBI when it comes to crazy cult leader branding women. No, this would not destroy the trust of the FBI, although it should, and it should. I mean, the Trump thing is obviously much more condemning of the FBI, but I hope it does, and I hope it does. I had another
hope it
point, but
does.
it left. It's too early for this shit.
It took off. It's
Yep.
just like I'm out, but it's just. Well, good. I'm glad it left you because we're about out of time.
This has been 2 Scoops Morning News. You can follow me at thesystemsdown.tv, at TSIDpod on Twitter, or wherever. Here on this channel that you're probably watching it right now. You can follow me and do it because you are smarter than the average cult leader. Craig, where can people find you?
You can find me at Break the Bell Pod or all over social media or on my YouTube channel. Go like and subscribe my YouTube channel because I can't give a specific domain for it yet because I don't have enough followers because YouTube nuked me for YouTube reasons. Yeah. Break the Bell Podcast. You can find me all over the podcast platforms as well. Go find it. Go follow it. It would be awesome.
Yes.
Well,
enjoy your day, everyone. And
yes.
Don't tweet and drive.
Do tweet and drive.
If you're going to tweet and drive, make sure you're quote tweeting that Meghan McCain tweet from LPNH.
Yes, only that one. That's the only one you're allowed to drive and tweet out.
And this is the only cult you're legally allowed to join. So,
yes,
do it.
Join it.
Goodbye.
This has been 2 Scoops Morning News every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 a.m. Central or whenever we feel like it. Until next time, hang in there, America.